Let's be honest, we've all dreamed of it. That magical, once-in-a-lifetime moment. You're rummaging through a dusty corner of a charity shop, scanning the tables at a local car boot sale, or, in this case, glancing at the leftovers of a neighborhood yard sale. Your eyes land on something forgotten, something no one else has noticed. It speaks to you. You pay a handful of coins for it, take it home, and discover you've just unknowingly brought home a masterpiece. It's the fantasy that fuels every treasure hunter, and for one lucky guest on the BBC's Antiques Roadshow, that fantasy just became breathtakingly real. The setting was as grand as the story that would unfold. The magnificent Shuttleworth House in Bedfordshire. A place steeped in history, its elegant lawns were now buzzing with the hopeful energy of hundreds of people, each clutching an item they hoped held a secret. Among them was a woman with a large, wonderfully unusual lamp. As she approached the table of ceramics expert Will Farmer, there was no air of grandeur about her find, just a quiet fondness for an object she picked up on a whim. Will, with the keen eye of a man who has seen it all, was immediately intrigued. The lamp was a curious piece, a tall sculptural column of interlocking ceramic elements, exuding a distinctly earthy mid-century vibe. It wasn't delicate or ornate, it was bold, architectural, and undeniably unique. He began the conversation, a friendly opening that would lead to one of the most heartwarming reveals of the day. The guest began to share her story, and it was a tale of pure, simple chance. "I bought it in a yard sale on the way back from the station," she explained with a smile, the memory still fresh. This wasn't an auction house purchase or a cherished family heirloom. This was the result of a casual detour. What made the story even more remarkable was the lamp's unloved status. It had been there for about 3 days, she continued, painting a picture of this lonely object sitting on a driveway, overlooked by countless passers-by. So on the 3rd day, the Friday, it was just that and a piece of a lawnmower left there. Imagine that scene for a moment. A magnificent piece of British studio pottery, sitting forlornly next to a discarded piece of garden equipment, just waiting for the right person to see its potential. She decided to take a chance. So I went in, knocked and asked, "Is it still for sale?" The owner, likely happy to clear out the last of his clutter, simply said yes. I said, "Right, I'll have that," she recounted. "I didn't realize how heavy it was though." Will Farmer, leaning in, a knowing twinkle in his eye, couldn't resist. "So I'm guessing if it had been there for 3 or 4 days, it must have been really expensive then," he probed, a playful tone in his voice. The guest let out a laugh, a genuine, unpretentious chuckle. No, it wasn't," she confessed, almost apologetically. "It was £10. Wow," Will exclaimed, his surprise immediate and genuine. The audience murmured in appreciation. £10. The price of a couple of fancy coffees for a piece of sculpture this significant. It was the kind of bargain that makes the heart beat a little faster. But what drew her to it in the first place? It wasn't a calculated investment. It was something far more personal, a pull from the heart. "It reminded me a lot of things I saw when I was growing up," she shared, her voice filled with warmth. "Teachers with ceramic pendants, different sort of coffee mugs, and I just really liked the color." Her words tapped into a shared cultural memory, that distinct, handcrafted aesthetic of the 1960s and 70s. A time of earthy tones, chunky textures, and a move away from mass-produced perfection towards things made with soul. For her, this lamp wasn't just a lamp. It was a nostalgic echo of her childhood. For a while, that's all it was. A cool, heavy, £10 lamp that brought back happy memories. She admitted she had no idea who could have made it. It was only when she gave it a proper clean, wiping away years of dust and grime, that she found the clue. A small, stamped label, pressed into the clay, "Rook." This was where the story turned from a charming anecdote into a lesson in art history. Will Farmer's eyes lit up. "Rook," he confirmed, refers to the British artist and studio potter Bernard Rook. He then began to weave the tale of the artist. He started his potting career in 1960 in South London at the studio there," Will explained. Rook was part of a powerful movement of artists who wanted to create functional art, to bring sculpture into the everyday home. By 1967, he'd sort of outgrown that space, and he wanted to find himself a better environment for him to work, so he moved out to Old Mill in Suffolk. Will continued explaining Rook's signature style. His work is often described as elemental, almost brutalist.